All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Readers. So I just covered high tide on a separate one, so I will be doing Tilray. I've been grouping CGC, ACB, and SNDL, and then I think I should have time for MSOS at the end. I haven't done it in a good while, but I will bring us into the fireplace. If you watch the high tide video, you can skip that because it's pretty much going to be the exact same thing. But I'm going to talk about the CGC earnings. I'm going to talk about the lack of headlines, lack of PR, lack of momentum from that external push, right? Like that's really what's been missing. And then I'm going to quickly flash the indices, right? You know, whenever I talk about the sector, I don't care about NASDAQ. NASDAQ does not matter. All we look at is the Dow Jones, right? And all we look at is the S&P 500. And you can see they were, you know, struggling a bit, looked like a decent recovery today. I'll talk about that, right? But you got to remember the indices in a lot of ways control what the little stocks that you and I move so many ways. Okay, so yeah, we'll talk about all that and more. But before we go I said before, weird. Before we go any further, and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we gonna do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can please subscribe to this channel, share this video online with your friends, comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms, but for real, just being here and giving me your time is super appreciated. I'm still laughing at the way I said before. I don't know why, but it just sounded so weird, at least in my head. I'll probably go back and listen to that. We'll see. I haven't done this in a while. Like I said, I want to bring us into the fireplace. Remember, when I come here, these are very much my thoughts and opinions, not very, like, obviously not technical based. We're not looking at any charts. Very much opinion based with not too many facts or like proof, I guess, behind it. So never hesitate to disagree with anything I have to say here, right? But the sector has seemingly been in a lull, right? We have not had a lot of good political headlines. We haven't had a lot of good, you know, just individual company headlines. I don't think we've seen any Germany headlines since it's actually legalized what's now coming into a full 60 days, right? We've done in the entirety of April. We've now done the entirety of May. Maybe by the end of June, I've been talking about that 90-day window, right? That's going to be the first full quarter, 3 months worth of like actual numbers, actual tax dollars, actual revenues, this and that, right? But yeah, it's been a quiet sector. And you got to remember, before Kamala kind of kicked off the noise, we were dying. This was a sector that was going down until she really did save it, right? And now that nothing's happened, it seems like it's going back to where it was, right? I quickly flashed the indices, and I guess this is a decent place to do that, right? But some of it actually could be attested to the indices, right? So listen, I say it all the time, NASDAQ doesn't matter, at least in my opinion, because remember, we're not talking about technology here. We're talking about farming. We're talking about putting a seed in the dirt, watching that thing grow, right? We're not even talking about e-commerce, right? We're talking about you got to sell it in a physical store, right? So this to me is a Dow Jones bread and butter. This to me is an S&P 500 bread and butter, right? Like this is not a technology-based NASDAQ. So when I see the Dow Jones slip like this, worrisome, right? When I see the S&P 500 not necessarily as early as steep, but does start to slip a little bit, worrisome, right? This is trying to hold the 20 moving average. DJ30, I believe, was trying to hold the 100, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I was trying to save the 100. And that's an interesting candle because I for sure would have said lost it and confirmed right there. So for this to save instead of actually fall down to just even this, oh my goodness, that's a wild candle right there, actually, right? But we need to see if these things are going to recover, right? This thing is still under most of the moving averages, right? S&P 500 is still trying to prove to me that it's going to hold the 20 MA, right? But those are a little bit worrisome in terms of the indices. And hey, it's been a little bit worrisome in the sector for the last couple of weeks, right? But I think the lack of news is hurting more than the actual realities, because yeah, we were already down there before Kamala. The last time I'm going to say that. I think I'm going to transition into the CGC earnings. So I was hoping, I was talking about it. We wanted the CGC earnings to do good. Even if you're not holding, oops, I dropped something. Even if you're not holding CGC, the goal was have them give good earnings, have them say good things. Let's raise the sector, right? I would pretty much say that the CGC earnings were not good. I'm actually surprised that the chart's holding up as good as it is, and I'll talk about that when we get into the technicals, right? But earnings per share, EPS, is arguably the most important thing on earnings outside of guidance. I think EPS is the most important thing about the realities of today, and then guidance gives you the hopes for tomorrow. Earnings per share, from what I read, was supposed to be minus 33 cents. It was actually a little bit higher than minus 70 cents. It was more than double bad, right? Like you want it to be higher so that it's a less negative. It was actually a bigger negative number, so that's not good. I think the biggest positive thing I saw, and it actually wasn't across every single headline, but I think I saw revenue at least went up a bit, but a bit really is the truth of it. It wasn't like this crazy double-digit, triple-digit number. It was revenue went up a little, earnings per share was missed by a lot. And that by no means offsets. I think what's worse, and please let me know if I'm wrong, I don't think I saw anything about guidance. I didn't really hear them talk about, rest of the year, next year. I didn't see any Germany mentions. That's not great when you're basically looking at not a bunch of guidance and bad earnings per share. Again, I'm surprised the candle is holding as much, right? So at the minimum, we're not going to see that kind of save the sector, in my opinion. The pre-market pop was a little interesting, and I kind of want some opinions about that, but we'll talk about that when we get into the chart. So I think this is pretty good, actually. Around 7:45 is where I will chapter this. We talked about the CGC stuff. We talked about the indices. We talked about the lack of news. No, I dig it. Yeah. Let's get into the technicals, and let's kick it off with Tilray as we normally do here. So really quickly, please, if you can subscribe, if you can share, oh, it does wonders with the algorithms here. And I talked about it on the last video. I'm going to say it again. I am way too worried about this 185 line, all right? Because there are 3 lines left, 185, 162, and 151, all right? If we lose that 165, red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green. Like this is a fast up and down, and the fear really would be a fast down. I talked about like 170-ish on the last video, maybe holding. I didn't draw the line. I'm still not going to draw the line, but oh man, we cannot lose that. We're now at a place where we have the 8 taking us down. I talked about the 20 starting to maybe exponentially come down. I'm seeing it, oops, zoomed in too much. And I think I see a death cross. Okay, it's actually the same number. You can see the average 20 is at 194. The average 100 is at 194. I see the orange line under the blue line. When it goes under, it's a death cross. When it goes over, it's a golden cross, right? You want the little number to go up, not down. So the 20 has death crossed the 100, and that's not good. That's also, again, making me believe that, look, the 8 came down exponentially. I think the 20 is now getting ready to come down exponentially. So yeah, it's a little worrisome. I don't know what else to say here, right? We must, I don't even, there isn't even much of a green. Goodness. I think it's this. What did we open at on this candle? Look, 187. All right, $1.87. This must regain 187 on Monday. Otherwise, it's hard to believe in anything other than 170-ish or lower. You know what I mean? If we lose 162, that's going to be horrible. But look, we've seen it as a good bounce point. All right, we've seen it once. We've seen it twice. Maybe you could still do it a third time. Hopefully we don't even have to talk about it, because so far this 185 line's actually done a pretty decent job. It actually has. And look, there have been moments where it's actually been a little bit lower and it tends to recover. Maybe the line actually should be a little bit lower at this 180. I don't think I want to do that, though. We're going to keep this 185 and keep it going from there, right? So I dig it. I dig it. I think that's everything here. Let's take a look at the weekly really quickly. Again, look at that thing, right? Clearly under all 5 lines. Clearly the 8 moving average has death crossed those on those being the 50 and the 20. We're seeing that same thing. The 8's already exponential here. It's going to take a little bit longer because, right, the 8 moves 3 times as fast as the 20. And you can see it here too, right? The 8 goes, drops. The 20 keeps, and then it kind of starts, right? So it's going to be a little bit behind on the daily. It's going to be a little bit behind on the weekly. I imagine it'll be middle of June once the exponential. Look, this is getting scary for sure. Normally I say I wouldn't touch it until here. Truth be told, I think what I'm going to do is lower this to here. I want basically that. I would not touch this until 209. I'm actually even going to raise it a little bit to like 211. Let's take the top of that, 212. I wouldn't touch Tilray till 212. I would love to trade this channel up here. That's a real nice channel. That's a 30% channel right there. Oh man, let me know if there's any upcoming news or anything that I'm missing. Just look at this volume, right? Negative MACD, not the prettiest of RSIs. I mean, this is a bunch of toughness right here. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Again, I have been grouping CGC, which you can see is basically under all 3, but doing its best to hold the 50. I've been grouping ACB, which you can see is under all 3, but it's doing its best to hold the 50. And I've been grouping SNDL, which you can see is in between them. It's below 2 of the 3, and it's actually over the 50, right? So those 3 are kind of battling the same lines, and that's really why I've been grouping them. Hey, real quick, please, if you can subscribe, if you can share, it does wonders with the algorithms. CGC earnings, I talked about it in the fundamental thoughts part when at the fireplace. It was really interesting to see this pop, and let me see if I can go into the hour chart. So look at this. Today was the 31st, right? The 30th at some point, and I know it was. Let me even see if I can show it at the 15-minute. Look at that. It in the beginning 15 minutes of CGC on the 30th, on yesterday, it opened at 9 and it ran to 10. That's more than a 10% bump. You can actually see that 15-minute chart was a 16% run right there, right? You can see the percent changes when I click into it. That opening 15-minute candle was tough. It was. I'm sure that got a lot of people excited, but look, what we actually did was got over the 200 moving average, but we're unable to confirm, right? The same things I say on all the timelines, it's the same thing on all the timelines, right? And obviously from there we dwindle down, but something made some people kind of excited. I'm assuming something was said that was good in the earnings, and hey, maybe I didn't mention it in the fireplace, right? But oh man, I always say the close matters the most. It really does. And that was a tough one for sure. Because again, you can see it on the daily that actually took us over all these moving averages as well, right? Like tough 15 minutes for sure. On the daily though, again, I'm going to say it again. For what seemed like not the best of earnings, this isn't a horrible chart. Obviously, we're under the 8 and the 20. You know I don't love that. Obviously, we're physically under the 50. You know I don't love that. Obviously, and I say obviously because it is actually, you can see the green is under. We just death crossed the 8 and the 50, right? None of those are good things. Oops, I didn't mean to zoom here. I meant to zoom here. But, my goodness, let's zoom in one more. Can I get? Yeah, give me the 50 cents. I don't like that. No, it's fine. Sorry, that was weird. I got really into that. This is holding. This is not that bad, and it's kind of interesting to see it. I'm afraid Monday might confirm something pretty bad because look, if you the same way, if you break, like go up from here, you go to here, you break that, you go to that, you break that, you go to that, you fly. You lose this, you come to this. You lose this, you come to this. If we lose the 50, that's a pretty hard fall all the way down to 650. Right? Maybe this right here around 7-ish, 760 will hold. That's a bad fall, right? So we cannot lose the 50. My goodness, I would be really worried here. I think 820 is a must hold line. If this falls below 820, that could be very scary on CGC, all right? When I look at ACB, it's pretty much the exact same thoughts, right? On this one, I actually did draw the middle line, but same thing. If we lose the 50 up here, it's a fall all the way down there, and you can see I basically took a bottom of that line and a half of that line. That's how I got it. That's the exact same thing I did with CGC when I gave my number, right? I think it ended up being the bottom of this one. That one's 8. No, I think it was maybe the bottom of this one. Yeah, 8, 10, whatever. You get the point, right? But we are in a place where we might lose the 50, and it's going to be important to find a place in between the 50 and that fall all the way down to the next line if it goes. Look, just like CGC, yeah, it's physically under, but those are all dojis, all right? We need to get back over 644 for us to start to feel maybe comfortable. Really, I wouldn't touch this thing. Can I lower this a bit? I'll lower this a bit. We'll take it to there. So yeah, I think it's actually the exact same line. 624. It's hard to like ACB unless it can get over 624. SNDL, again, seems like the best of the bunch, but really it's kind of the same of the bunch in my eyes, right? Yeah, it's physically over the 50, but this thing's been nothing but a string of dojis. Right? Couple bad red ones, couple dojis. That's basically the movement here, right? Not a great MACD. Horrible volume. I'm kind of grouping it. I didn't mind keeping it in the group, right? Don't lose the 50, the exact same fall. That's probably our no line. Maybe I can lower it to like here-ish, maybe a little closer to like 210. But again, at that point, just a couple pennies. I'd be worried under 211 for sure. Yeah, that's not bad for these, right? That's not bad for these. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. I do want to talk about MSOS. Man, MSOS is at a very, very important point right now. MSOS is holding on to the last of the moving averages. MSOS has also made that scary fall that I was just talking about on the last ones, right? So, the last thing we want to do is lose all 5 and die, all right? And when we look at the holdings, TCNNF, you can see the same thing, right? CURLF, you can see the same thing, right? When you look at Verano, I always forget that one. Verano Holdings, boom, you can see the same thing, right? Cresco Labs. you can see the same thing, right? Cresco seems to have bounced nicely and actually gotten really close to the 8 moving average. Hopefully that's basically what we do here and get a little bit higher to there, right? But yeah, we need to get back into this 840 range. I want to get back into this candle right here. That's at least going to put us a little bit higher on the 8 moving average as well, right? Where is this? Yeah, no, that doesn't count. We need that right there. Hopefully, and look, this is a strong line. It's very hard to break up. It should be very hard to lose down. Very often, it is strong enough to help you bounce up too, right? That's going to be hard to break. I'm not sure we get over 9, but hey, going from 8 to 9 is actually a very strong 10% move right there, right? So, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Hey, thank you so much.